I thought our age life would slow down.
Not with everything we need to coordinate.
My overtime, his basketball league,
My podiatrist and her PT.
his colonoscopy.
Her allergist.
We need to be in 2 places at once, which is no problem, because the Iowa Clinic has over 40 specialties all in one place. So when our doctors want to coordinate our care, they just talk to each other.
Our doctors work together to figure out the best care for us, so we can go back to our busy lives, juggling our doctors, our careers.
Our grandchild.
Care how you want it. Visit iowaclinic.com.
All right, thanks to the Iowa Clinic and the Iowa Clinic Men's Center for presenting our Game Day preview show here on the Cyclone Fanatics social media platforms. Hey, you should follow us on YouTube if you're not already. A lot of good stuff there. Press conferences, reaction, all that good stuff. And thank you to all of you who already do. Let's get at it with CW's top 5. Big one, Iowa State and Kansas State. You get the feeling, kind of a must-win type of game for the Cyclones after starting 0-2 in Big 12 play. We'll start with number 5. Listen, it's the most obvious. Special teams! Come on! Here's the thing. Not only does Iowa State have to be good here, this is what Kansas State does very well. You just go back to the Bill Snyder era. They've always been an elite special teams type of program. They got kick returners that can kill you, right? Like, so just don't lose the game on special teams. We say it every week. Just don't lose the game on special teams. What more analysis do you really need? All right, number 4, probably the most important one of this game for Iowa State, and it's really containing that running game with Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn. Because if you do, I mean, Kansas State's a pretty one-dimensional football team. However, they do it quite well. They got 2 elite runners in the backfield. But I want to make Adrian Martinez throw. We've seen this at Nebraska, and what happens? He usually ends up turning the football over. But, man, I really like what Colin Klein and Chris Kleiman have done with Kansas State's Adrian Martinez this year compared to what we saw from him at Nebraska. It's been a nice redemption story. I really like their ground game. This is going to be easier said than done, but contain that running game. If Iowa State does that, got a good chance to win the game. You got to be able to run the ball, too. Right, looking at injuries for Iowa State tonight, Jairell Brock questionable, Cartavius Norton questionable. How is Iowa State's offensive line going to stack up against what I think is a pretty darn impressive front 7 that Chris Kleiman and the Wildcats will bring into Jack Trice Stadium? I would like to see Hunter Deckers be more, versatile. Yeah, I thought he would run the ball better and more heading into the season compared to what he has been able to do. Improvise a little bit, Hunter Deckers. I'd like to see that. I think it could help open up the rest of the running game for Iowa State. How does Deion Silas and Eli Sanders play today for Iowa State? You know they're probably going to have an enhanced role. That was a tough situation that they got thrown into last week at Kansas. I'm wondering how they will react to an entire week of practice knowing that they will be the man at running back for Iowa State. Stay tuned. You cannot be able to go and be completely one-dimensional tonight for Iowa State because that's where we go to Hunter Deckers. You got to get him right. It looks like he's seeing ghosts out there. He looks like a completely different quarterback compared to the first 3 games of the season for Iowa State. Where's that number 12 that you saw on the 99-yard drive at Iowa, right? That's the guy that you got to get back there. And I think the one thing we're learning about Hunter Deckers, and this is the case with any young quarterback, this is common sense, but man, you don't want to be one-dimensional in the sense where they go back there and are thinking more than they're playing. And again, and I'm just an amateur football mind, but I'm watching tape, I'm watching Hunter Deckers, and it looks like he is, overthinking it. It looks for the first time in his young career that the game is moving faster than his brain is able to comprehend things at this point. So they got to get him right. Can't be living with those amounts of turnovers from number 12. And number 1, this is just really a general case of Iowa State needs a bounce-back game here in the worst way. That Baylor game was brutal in all sense of ways, but I felt like they got beat. I felt like Baylor was the better football team that afternoon when we left Jack Trice Stadium. I did not feel that way last week against Kansas. I feel like Iowa State would beat Kansas 8 or 9 times if they would play out of 10. Maybe that's a little bit arrogant, but I thought they were the better football team 1 through 85. It makes you sick to lose football games like that. You can't let it turn into 2. If Iowa State bounces back here, you feel okay about the season. You don't feel good about it, but you feel okay about it. If you start 0-3 in the Big 12, then you're staring at a road trip to Texas. Man, this season starts to get terrifying in a hurry. So it's just so much of a key to bounce back and get the win tonight any way possible for Iowa State. And do it against a rival. Farmageddon, this is a game you really want to win each and every year. I think Jack Trice Stadium is going to be on fire. I am picking a low-scoring victory for the Cyclones. Let's go Iowa State 21, Kansas State 20. How about that? 21-20. Oh, yeah. Did you think that this was going to be easy? If so, no, absolutely not. It's going to be nuts. Farmageddon, Iowa State, Kansas State. Thanks to the Iowa Clinic for sponsoring our Game Day preview show, as always, here in Cyclone Fanatic YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Chris Williams, signing off. Cyclones 21-20. Mark it down, baby.